Why do most salespeople fail? Hello, my name is Glenn Carver, and I'm Vice President of Sales Engine, a Sandler Training franchise in Alpharetta, Georgia. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain to you why most salespeople don't have enough qualified leads on a consistent basis, why they hear, "I need to think it over" way too often from their prospects, why sales cycles run a little bit too long, and why most salespeople do too much free consulting and just never get paid. Sandler Training is a recipient of the Consumer's Choice Award for Business Coaching in Atlanta. And Sandler is a world leader in innovative sales training, sales force development, and sales management training. But here's the bottom line. Most salespeople fail because they don't have a system for selling. In any selling situation, there's this phenomenon called the buyer-seller dance. And without me going too much further, who do you think typically leads the buyer-seller dance? Yeah, you're exactly right. The buyer typically leads the buyer-seller dance. Now at Sandler Training, we believe that if you don't have a system for selling, you will naturally and unfortunately default to the buyer system. And believe me, the buyer system is very different than the seller system. So first, let's take a look at traditional sales methodology and how it positions salespeople for failure. The traditional sales methodology would have us first find a prospect. If you want to sell your product or service, find a suspect, and through questioning strategies, turn them into a prospect. Step number 2 would be to present your product or service. The reality of presentation for most salespeople, however, is show up and throw up. And that's one of the main reasons most salespeople fail, is they just talk too much. Step number 3 is asking for the business, close mode. Now, I'm sure all of your salespeople close 100% of the time, but if they don't, step number 4 would be follow-up. The reality of follow-up for most salespeople, however, is the chase mode. And how does it feel when you're in chase mode, chasing somebody? What does that do for your self-esteem and your self-image? I submit that it's not good. Now let's discuss the buyer system. This is true for you and I as buyers. This is true for our prospects when they call on us, and it's pure psychology. First step in the buyer system is to mislead, and it's a pure self-defense mechanism. Let's face it, we don't want to be sold, we want to buy. So the first step in the buyer system is to mislead. Second step is we want to get as much free information as possible. Why in the world do we want free information? So we can use it as leverage to get our best deal, to shop the competition. Step 3 is we're going to make no commitment. When we're getting free consulting from salespeople, why commit to buy? And then step 4 in the buyer system is to conveniently slip into the witness protection program, what we call the hide phase. So as salespeople, we need to be aware of this buyer-seller dance and the psychology of how buyers think so we can have a system to combat that. In every selling situation, there's a moment of truth. Actually, there could be several moments of truth in every sales conversation. It's a fork in the road, if you will. And we as salespeople, as professional salespeople, we need to have 3 things to ensure that we win and go down the seller's path instead of losing and going down the buyer's path. The first thing we have to have is awareness. Awareness that the buyer-seller dance even occurs. The second thing we have to have is technique. We have to know what to say and what to do in the moment. And number 3 is guts. You have to have the guts to say the right things in the moment of truth. And let's face it, sometimes sales can be mean, tough, and nasty. Sometimes we have to have the guts to move our prospect off the nail. Now, if we have these 3 things, we win. If we don't have these 3 things, we lose, the buyer lose. We affectionately call this moment of truth Wimp Junction. So how can we help? Sandler Training has a 7-step system or process that helps the seller stay out of the buyer's trap. Our system is based on upfront communication and specific questioning strategies that keep the seller in charge. Here's my suggestion to you. Invite me in to present at one of your sales meetings. My promise to you is that the techniques that I deliver after one short meeting will have a positive impact on your team. Even if we decide not to work together, I promise the value of the techniques that I deliver will immediately impact your sales. If this resonates with you, call me today. Thanks for watching.